all the engineers. And so being an engineer myself, I'm not a practicing engineer, but I have practiced it for more than 35 years. And at the board, we have many engineers, whether looking after the electricity and other utilities, and also the safety aspects. And it is very important that engineering plays a key role in our day-to-day lives. Of course, Department of Environmental Protection cannot go without the engineering support, and DOT, Department of Transportation, also requires engineering. So engineers are everywhere, and engineers are not known to be great marketeer. I think, Parish, you have to try a little harder. I think it's not an easy thing to get people to celebrate something of this magnitude. I think Engineers Week is engineers in everyday lives make a big difference and recognition, and we have to be a little more market oriented. We have to market ourselves. I think we have to create that voice, and that would be helpful. So with that, I'm just going to leave it at that, and if any questions we can hold on to it for later. Any questions? We can have a more of a dialogue. We need to talk about a lot of these issues, and what are the challenges that engineers face in day to day, especially in the government agencies, and of course, private sector is different. And I think we need to talk about those challenges. And Parish, thank you very much for being persistent and trying to keep this going year after year. And it was I was really happy yesterday. President Fiordaliso sent out an email about Engineers Week. I think probably he did it for the first time, and maybe the first president of the BPU to send a note like that. So I think it all shows that your persistence and my persistence and paid off. Thank you, and hats off to you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Also for working with us from DP side. So that's a great. Now, Sarah, you can start your presentation.
Great. Well, thank you guys for inviting me. I am a non-engineer, but I work with a lot of engineers within state government, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about the State Energy Office and some of the things that we've been working on. There's a lot of engineering going on here in our buildings as well, but kind of going with the theme of Engineers Week and looking at all of the different areas where engineers can be making a difference. I know at BPU, we're working a lot on different fuel technologies and looking at ways that we're advancing electric power through vehicles and other activities. But sometimes it's important to also kind of look at the basics. And so today, what I'd like to be going over with you guys is a little bit about state energy services, because we aren't something that everybody knows about. And just kind of run through with you a little bit about who we are, and also what are some of the projects that we've been working on, and how we are kind of progressing, and what we're working on that you guys could be part of as well, and invite you to come along. So who is State Energy Services? We are within the BPU, and Governor Corzine back in 2006 had issued an executive order. And it originally was within Treasury. Some of you may have been around back then. I know me and the commissioner were, but in different roles. And part of what our office does is we review all energy capital projects for all state agencies. I chair the Energy Capital Committee, which is made up of different agencies, and we review all of the different state programs, The Board of Public Utilities supplies State Facilities Initiative money, and we upgrade different programs there. We work with the OMB Capital Committee, and we also work with the Energy Capital Committee's money as well to help fund things. We run the Energy Performance Contracting Program, and we manage the state's power pool. So we're buying your electric and gas. And one of the things that we've been trying to do is work with agencies on what are the different projects that you want to accomplish, where are areas of improvement that we might see, and how can we all work together along with DPMC to start advancing some of these projects. And one of the things that we had looked at was, what are we actually using? And I think you guys all recognize that what's measured is what you're going to be able to improve upon and how you're going to design projects. So one of the things that our team had done was put together the State Energy Report. And this really looks at how we can start to advance energy management within the state. And we've seen great strides made under the Murphy administration, but we've also seen lots of policy changes. You are looking at having your fleet changed over to electric vehicles, or you might be having a building audit, or you might be in a building over 25,000 square feet that needs to have benchmarking done. But there's lots of different things that are impacting how state government is consuming power. We also had a pandemic, and so your buildings might have been running even without you in them. And just to kind of give an idea, the state portfolio is rather large. We have more than 3,700 buildings, and last year we spent about $95 million in energy costs. But the good news is that when we look at that, we have been trending downward. And part of that is due to the different energy mitigation strategies we have. Part of it's due to projects that we have happening at the buildings. But this is something that we want to see continuously driving down. And when we look at this a little bit more in depth, our main energy costs and consumption are from electric and natural gas. Those of you who are in Trenton might be aware of the thermal loop, and that power is provided with chilled water and hot water, and those make up our next biggest sources as well too. But if you want to dive a little bit more into your own agency, we did that too to get a look at what's happening there. And again, we have a couple of agencies that have a lot of property, have a lot of consumption. And when we look at it, here's a little bit more of an in-depth. I know we've got some folks from DEP and some of the other DOT on here as well too. So you can see that in terms of our top 5 agencies, you guys have a lot of property, buildings, and square footage here. And Treasury also has a lot of buildings and property, but that's because they take the aggregate of the state-owned buildings. So this is something that we look at when we're looking at where can we target some of our efficiencies. And to kind of drive this home more, we had 5 agencies that accounted for 85% of the energy cost and consumption, but we also are having a lot of savings happening. And if you look at this in terms of what we are able to do, we're doing a lot of measurements on energy intensity, on energy cost per square foot, and trying to start using different metrics so that we can target in where could we be doing energy efficiency. And that kind of leads us to our retrofit strategy as well. And I think that, over time, we have had some folks who pay a lot of attention to energy, and we have some folks who this is still new. So part of what my office is trying to do is come up with this strategy where we're able to build a plan, build awareness and education, have that priority list of projects that we're funding and committing to, and then also work on building teams. And this is where I'm going to enlist some of you guys in a little bit. But then we're also developing a pipeline of projects. And what you may not be aware is that the BPU offers free energy audits for all state facilities. And these are preliminary ASHRAE level 2 for buildings, ASHRAE ASHRAE level 3 for lighting. And these are usually the beginning steps in order to get Treasury buy-in and to move forward. And then we have our larger energy performance contracts, which I'll talk a little bit about. We've had some successful ones within the state, and the DOT headquarters as an example, Katzenbach School, and I'll talk through those a little bit. But we're also committed to training folks. And I know many of you may have energy training, might be certified energy managers, or that could be your focus within engineering as well. But part of what BPU is doing to commit to continuing having expertise and being able to have folks within the state be able to help us manage our large portfolio and have some of these improvements is to have an energy manager training cohort. And there is a Treasury circular that says every agency must have at least one energy manager. And there's many agencies that do have this, but there's others that have some room for improvement. So what we're looking to do is start our cohort in September and have monthly training sessions. And we're going to be looking at having both these group trainings where you're going to be able to come together with folks from other agencies, talk through some of your issues, be able to learn. Also be able to have some site level homework where looking at what are your buildings doing, how are they performing, and being able to also talk through if there's some challenges or if you need some further technical assistance or engineering assistance, how can we solve some of these problems? So this is some of the exciting new work that we're doing. And then we are also looking at having an updated state facility database. And part of this, again, originates, you guys may be familiar with Treasury's location building asset management system, also known as LBAM. It's been around for many years. This is where a lot of the buildings are entered. Within the energy side of the house, we also have something called Energy Solve. And that's currently where all of our energy data is stored for these state buildings. And what we've been trying to do is cull together all of this information and create a database that we can verify what is the square footage, what's going on. And part of this also translates into a benchmarking requirement. We have some buildings that have been built to LEED standards for energy efficiency, but the state hasn't necessarily done benchmarking of its buildings. And so the Clean Energy Act requires that all commercial buildings above 25,000 square feet have to be benchmarked for energy and water data. And we would use EPA's portfolio manager to do this. So part of what my team has been working on, because this has to be done by 2023, is looking at how do we plan for this? How are we able to use that state facility database and GIS and other things, develop that list and start working with agencies. And this really is, again, a multi-agency collaboration as we're working through verifying the square footage and that accounts are still available. And part of what our office is doing is helping all of the executive branch agencies, and then we are alerting other agencies. There is another division within BPU who is acting more as the regulator, but I like to look at it as we are more your helpful friend through this process. And again, our goal here is looking at fulfilling the mandate by the law, but then also seeing how else can we start to look at other state-owned buildings, because part of the energy master plan is that all state buildings should be audited. And if we're going to audit buildings, then we should also benchmark them so that we can start planning for process improvements. And again, looking through the data discovery, having utility service mapping, setting up portfolios, and then automating it so that data is going in and that your agencies can also see year over year, how are you doing? If you had a project, did it improve? What's happening? And this also plays into another energy mitigation strategy that we do, which is the state's power pool. And you may not be aware, but we have an energy aggregation pool and there's over 6,000 accounts. So most of your state buildings, we buy the power for, and there's third-party supply. And we try to do that so that we get a competitive price and that it is cheaper than what we would get from the utilities. This is another way that we try to save money and participate in the marketplace. So my team buys this, but also as we're planning for new things like electric vehicle infrastructure and chargers, that's something that we need to know about too. And then as we work with other agencies, just to kind of give you a taste, the Katzenbach School recently completed a project, and we have a lot of old steam lines within our facilities. And this was an area where they were able to leverage performance contracting as well as clean energy incentives and have a 15-year contract in which the energy savings would pay for the cost of the project. And part of the way that performance contracting works is that every year you have to be cash flow positive. And I think that some of you who work in the energy space know that in terms of replacing some of these large boilers, HVAC, variable speed drives, steam heating, as we're decentralizing things, these can cost a long time and have long payback periods. But through the performance contracting, we are able to bundle different performance measures and have the energy savings pay for the project over the 15-year period. And this is a really great way in terms of capital planning for state agencies because the savings have to be there. And so you're allowed to do a lot of larger scale improvements. And another example of that too was a recent upgrade at the DOT headquarters. And again, it was decentralizing a steam system. They had a lot of line losses, and they also replaced their lighting and had more of an energy management system. That's another challenge that we see within state facilities is that there isn't a good building management system. And so that's something else that we're planning for. And part of what we have done, we are working on the Vinelands Veterans Home too, and installing sensors along with some of the upgrades there. So we're able to measure and see that these are actually working. So these are a taste of some of the projects that we're doing, and looking forward to working with you and your different agencies on this as well, and seeing what kinds of engineering solutions we can all come up with together. And happy to answer any questions if there are any. Okay, great. Then Paresh, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. And now the team of Andy, Suresh, and all of the friends take over.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Paresh. So I think we have everybody here. So I need to share a screen. Hold on. And I just want to make sure everybody could see the screen.
I can.
Can everybody see the screen?
I do.
Thumbs up.
Yes.
Just give me 1 second. Okay, hello everybody, and
Andy, it went back away now. I don't know what you.
Yeah, screen went away.
I don't know if you shared your screen or the app. Sometimes if you don't share the screen, or if you share the screen, it goes back to where.
can you see it now?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
I'll try again.
Suresh, you're on mute. Can hear what you're saying.
Paresh, can you make sure he's presenter right now? Paresh?
How I do that?
Okay, there is a way to you go to the
There we go. There you,
Okay.
somebody's up now.
Yeah, I'll
And
try
this
to-
is, now it's gone away again. Okay.
Mute by feed to frame, spotlight everyone. Okay.
Yeah, now we can see it. Okay. And you have to share the window which has the PowerPoint on.
Yep. I have to-
And do you want me to do it?
You know what? Suresh, why don't you share your screen?
Okay,
I'm having
hold
a
on.
little difficulty here.
Okay, I got it. I got it.
I apologize to everybody.
Sometimes Teams does not.
Okay. Can you see, guys?
We
Yes.
can.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
This is slide
Suresh.
number 1. Okay.
Okay, so thank you everybody for having us today. We're a collaboration of energy technology companies. There are 5 companies represented here today. One is Volt E, which is a direct current microgrid company. Ameresco, you might be familiar with. It's a pretty substantial energy services company. We call them our big brother. There's Ampower. Ampower is a global technology for lead crystal batteries out of Holland. There is H2E, represented by Suresh, which is a fuel cell technology. And there's Repure, which is Michael Ham. And Repure is about water and air quality for indoor environments and purification. LG is also one of our participants that is not here today. They supply us with direct current appliances. So what we're going to show you today are 2 types of technology. One is for behind the meter, and one is for the in front of the meter. And we're following really the vision of the Rocky Mountain Institute and Amory Lovin's on reinventing the fire, if you've ever seen his TED Talk, and focusing on the built environment from a engineering and environmental perspective. So Suresh, can you go to the next screen, please? The first thing we're going to talk about today is front of the meter technologies and a project that we're looking into for South Jersey. Some of you might be familiar with it. It's a community of about 499 homes that has gas with only 1 meter. So every home is getting gas off of 1 central meter. It's 80 years old. They're old pipes. And we're looking at the solution where we're going to take the old pipes out of the development and convert the natural gas that's coming in there into electricity and electrify each home. And the purpose here also is to create a direct current environment inside each one of those units, because eventually they also have to replace the wiring inside those units. Our solution disconnects the wires and creates a whole new ecosystem with 48 volt DC and USB technologies. And we'll show you that in a short while. Suresh, next. I'm sorry. One more thing is another aspect of what we are looking to accomplish is also to bring indoor grow farms to developments like this. They're doing it today in North Jersey and Jersey City, and we think that this is a great solution for both energy and managing energy and building healthier lives for everybody. Suresh, you're next. This over to Hector. This is one component of front of the meter technology that we're working with, and it's the amp hour energy storage systems.
Well, hello everyone, and I'll try to fill the big shoes on our partners on energy storage. The systems that you're looking at the screen right now are for in front of the meter, and they're utility scale type of technology. As you can see, it contains storage, battery management system, power conditioning system, and it could fit into a community in terms of the capacity could go up to 1.2 megawatt, but could also be adapted to the different needs as this is scalable. And
Paresh, can you ask somebody to, there is somebody on the background. Can you ask some people to put the mute, please?
Hello.
I don't know if it's me. But, there's a little bit of background noise. I'll try to speak louder then. So I don't know if this is a combination of systems that could fit the community, particularly like the one that has been mentioned in the previous slide. It could also be combined with utility efforts for shaving peak demand management, aggregation. So I think we can see further details on the next slides.
Suresh, you're up.
Good morning, everyone. So here, what we are doing here, we have a technology called fuel cell. Our technology can produce power, heat, and hot water. And we can run this technology from natural gas or biogas, propane, LPG, CNG, and eventually the green hydrogen. And our system can scale from 0.5 kilowatt to megawatt. So what you see here is a 50 kilowatt system, work with the battery and fuel cell and the solar panel. All three combined called microgrid. And that will be able to serve the whole community. And we can stack the boxes. We can have 50 kilowatt system, we can have a 100 kilowatt system, we can have a 200 kilowatt system, and we can build the whole megawatt power plant there. And it has a full backup. So if one of the box have problems, second box take over the system. If there's a load balancing, it's managed. You can modulate the system to use that for 100%, or you can use for 50%, or you can run for 30%. And this is all can be done remotely. So the next slide.
Next slide is me. So now we're going to go behind the meter and look at the issues that exist today. And the issues, as we see it, and in our opinion, is the electrical infrastructure of a lot of these older buildings. And in order to optimize a building, much of this needs to be replaced. If it's going to be replaced, we believe we should replace the old electrical system with solid state electronics, utilizing electronic switch technology and distributing power that comes into the building as direct current to all of the direct current loads that currently exists. We just saw a white paper today that shows that a building with a 48 volt system is going to save 10 to 15, maybe even 20% in the efficiency of managing its power. So our behind the meter solution begins with electronic switch technology and being able to plug in a few batteries, plug in 3 or 4 solar panels, and have a nanogrid within the building. So in front of the meter, we have a microgrid. Behind the meter, we have a nanogrid. And they work together, they tie in together. Next page, Suresh. This is a little broader view of that nanogrid. You could put the H2E fuel cell into a building. Just for that building, we like to put 3 or 4 solar panels for a small home, plug and play. We use the amp hour behind the meter technology for storing power in a building, whether it's AC or DC. We do it's a hybrid system. The Volt power server collects energy from a fuel cell, from a solar panel, from a battery, and distributes it through with electronic switch technology through the building as 48 volts DC. We use the Pearl USB charger for replacing outlets, basically. So we see a picture of built environments that have a lot of USB outlets throughout the building. And then, of course, there's the loads, and that's where LG comes in. They have a lab filled with DC appliances that we're hoping to pull out and start distributing to a community like the Audubon community. Obviously, computers, televisions, lights, LED lights, they all operate on direct current, whether it's 12 volts, 24 volts, or 48. We've chosen 48 because sometimes you have to go longer distances with the power, and it's more efficient with 48 volts. There's also the Repure air purification and water purification. We believe that anytime we're going to retrofit a building, we've got to provide clean air and clean water, and that's essential in the comfort and health of people's lives in built environments. So our package is comprehensive with everything, not just electricity, but other elements. Next, Suresh. Hector? You're on mute, Hector.
Yeah, it was acting up a little bit. So, and this is I would say the counterbalance on the in front of the meter technologies using this type of storage inside or for residential applications. This could also go at an upper scale for commercial. I don't know what happened. This is a technology that can fit most of the average home dimensions, and it could also be internally expandable, and it could fit currently single phase, but eventually in the short term we'll have the capability for both 3-phase and also direct current output.
Thank you, Hector. Suresh?
Okay, so what you see here in this slide is that we have a microgrid running with solar panel, fuel cell, and battery. This system, what you see here on the slide, we have installed 600 of this system in Germany and Switzerland. And they are designed for single family home or multi-family home. You can stack a couple of them together, and you can also put together the system for the small commercial application. But if you look at this thing, it produces power, heat, and hot water. So if you use this system, basically you do not need a backup generators, and you can produce enough power at for your home 24/7, 365. And this system runs on the biogas, and it also runs on the natural gas. And again, you can modulate the system. It's very high efficiency, and it produces almost no green gas. So this will allow you to have basically backup generators support or resilience power. You can also produce power and heat locally. So you can, use the heat, especially for the Northeast and Midwest market. And this system we are right now installed in Germany. We have more than 3 million hours of operating experience in Europe. And I'm trying to bring this system to United States. We have a couple of systems installed now in Ohio at this point. So it's a complete CHP system that's designed for the single family and multi-family home. Any questions? Okay.
Hello, sir. Hello, Suresh.
Yeah.
You say any questions? What is the cost estimation for the system?
Right now, our system is selling for $18,000 with a 15 years of life, and our goal is to once we manufacture in US, our cost will go down to $10,000 to $15,000.
And what is the durability of the system?
15 years, 1-5.
And how is the maintenance of the system?
Every 4 years, we have to replace the stack, and some filter, and we provide the support.
And what is the cost of this maintenance?
Less than probably $2,000 in every 4 years.
Okay, thank you.
Next, okay.
Michael, you're up.
Oh, hi, everyone. It's great to be with you all. My name is Michael Donham. I'm part of Repure, and I'm also a WELL faculty member for the International Well Building Institute. We've been hearing a bit about electrification, and in many jurisdictions, they're actually mandating no gas. And electrification is actually not only beneficial in terms of energy efficiency, but when we take fossil fuels for cooking, possible carbon monoxide leaks out of the equation, it's actually much better for the air quality. And that's really an area that I wanted to touch on because post-COVID, the interest in healthy spaces, healthy homes, healthy workplaces has skyrocketed. A lot of people that work remotely, they don't want to go back to the office because they're scared it's not a safe and healthy place for them. So there's a global movement towards certifying buildings and homes for health and wellness. And not only the International Well Building Institute, but organizations like UL, Fitwell, Reset, these are all becoming very, very strong standards to ensure that the places we spend the most time are healthy for us. So when it comes to a holistic, healthy home, the biggest drivers in the marketplace today, whether it's the builders or remodelers, architects or designers, it's really air quality, water quality, and something called human-centric lighting or circadian safe lighting. There are other elements of the healthy home, but these are the three biggest drivers. And so what we want to bring to the equation, regardless of socioeconomic status, most, as you would well know in the energy industry, and the most disenfranchised and the least equitable falls upon the shoulders of the lower income families. And that's something that we as a community and whether government or private business really need to put some more thought and energy towards. But it's the same thing with the healthy environments. The people that are exposed to the most unhealthy environments are typically minorities and low-income families. And so we need to push for, same thing with energy, to democratize healthy spaces. So when it comes to air quality, water quality, it's broken down into point of view solutions. So these, for example, water filtration would go under the kitchen sink. So everyone in the household would have better than bottled water quality access right in their own homes. You don't have to buy bottled water, increase the plastic pollution in our environment. And then there's also whole house solutions where on the main water line, you can add filtration that brings better water quality throughout the house for showering, for your appliances. It's the same concept of sustainability as it pertains to water, because when you have cleaner water, there's less particulates, less contaminants in there. Your appliances, your hot water heater will use less energy to heat up the water, will last longer, so will be cheaper over the long run. So it's very well aligned between energy efficiency and healthy home because they kind of feed off and complement each other. In terms of air quality, it's a very similar concept. There's point of use, so you can have a portable air purifier. If you can only afford one, you have a limited budget. You have a portable that you can move around where you are spending the most time in your home. And there's also a whole house air filtration system where it gets installed inline your HVAC system inline, so that whenever your HVAC system is running, your air is actually being purified. And because air and water are invisible, the latest technology is actually putting monitors in place. So real time on your phone, you can see the status of your air quality inside compared to the outdoors. And the goal should always be that the indoor air is better than the outdoor air quality. But in reality, it's 2 to 5 times worse. Those are the stats by the Environmental Protection Agency, that indoor air is 5 times or more worse than outdoors. And that's really contributing to deteriorating long-term health for people all across America. And so this is an area where, as we do what we do, we can actually have a huge impact on communities, families, to live healthier lifestyles. And it's an excellent pairing with what we're doing with the energy as well. So it's kind of an overview.
I'm nervous that based on what you're saying, that everybody's going to run out of the room right now, and we're not going to have anybody to present to. So
I'm done.
It's going to be your fault if everybody leaves the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So this slide is basically showing that the technologies that we work with are very flexible. They could be used in industrial, commercial, residential applications. We're getting very much aligned with indoor agriculture, since it uses so much energy and the power needs to be well managed. And we're hoping that ultimately power, energy, and indoor environment conditions from water and air and humidity could be all controlled, managed on a simple app. So when someone comes home, they know how good their air is, how much energy they're using, and they can be very conscious of the environment, both indoor and outdoor. Next, Steve.
Yeah, so you're all probably wondering, how does this all come together? And that's what Ameresco does, is we start with the capital planning of the facility like this. The interesting part about this actual community to me is that this was built after WW2 to host shipbuilders from Camden and Philadelphia after the war effort. So the U.S. government actually built this facility. It turned into a co-op where these folks ended up having ownership, and there's still family trees that are in this community today from that event. So the big picture thing that we're doing here is we want to align everybody's motivation. So you have the utility that has natural gas and electric coming into the facility. You have the community that has not been taking a capital risk assessment to the community over the years. So they have a pipe under the ground that's going to cost them a lot of money that they haven't been putting aside to pay for, as well as some other things. So it starts with that capital planning and risk assessment, so that we can build a project with them that's going to be the best one and the best investment of their capital over the course of time. And then we help by bringing the folks together here in the room today that have been presenting to you, to decide on, what energy is the best to use at one time that brings the most resiliency to the community, that will be the most economic and health benefits, and run seamlessly for them to make this transition. The goal here would be, from the utility standpoint, to save a customer and not have to cost them a bunch of money to put a whole bunch of other pipes into the ground to go ahead and distribute natural gas to these facilities. Ameresco has distributed energy as a service. We work with individual entities. We work with low-income housing developments from a HUD perspective to do projects like this. So we really, everything soup to nuts, have partners that can execute in the room as well as outside of the room when it makes sense to bring a project like this to fruition. And the goal here, really, honestly, folks, is that we have a community in New Jersey. We understand from our market research that there's probably dozens of communities like this throughout the state that could actually, really, honestly, be super exciting, economically viable projects with, you know, your support, the engineering community support, and just some good hard work and aligning of motivations of everybody. The biggest thing to I think that we bring to the table here is our financing experience. So those financial or contract vehicles that I was mentioning before, Amoresco is completely open to what vehicles we use, whether it's grant funding, public financing, private financing, our own money, a utilities fund money, to sell back to the community. The actual community itself will come up with that capital planning and that capital risk assessment, a prioritization of needs that will ensure that each of these communities, and this one specifically, that the investment that they're making will last for years to come, and probably actually make their houses and their community even more viable than ones that are being built today with technology that's going to be outdated by the time they end up building the facility. So with that, I guess I'll stop. Hopefully that.
Suresh, to the next, please. I think this is our last slide, and this speaks to projects that we're beginning to work with in Africa. And, you know, this is very enlightening that 90 or 89% of the population in Africa does not have electricity. And we think a large part of it is because when we think electricity, we think of power lines, and we think of, you know, having to move power long distances to get to people that are in very remote areas. What we discovered from one of our new partners is that you could put a very small microgrid into a village of 100 people, and the head of the village would manage distribution of power, and they would trade power for grain. So you could create a sustainable living environment for people that currently don't have electricity, and give each, and there's a lot of children involved in this, obviously. Children could have light at night so they could read and they could learn. And for that, for you know, 50 million, 100 million people, just to have light is a big deal. And these technologies that we bring to the table today could be used in a home in New Jersey, or it could be used in a hut in Africa. And so my point here is that we've got to start exploring how to apply all of these great technologies at our fingertips, and not make it more just for us, but let's make it more for the entire world. And it should start in New Jersey, the great state of New Jersey. So that's it for today's presentation, and we'll open it up for questions and answers from the entire group, if there are any. There's got to be one question.
Or applause.
Well, maybe we'll call it an early day.
Or perhaps you can collect the question from them and email to us, and we can respond back to them also.
Yes, yes.
You know, we are, you can, you know, send them our email address, or you can forward to us and we can reply back to them.
There's a question in the chat.
Please.
It says from William, can you compare for any family the current economic daily expenses with the technology you guys are offering?
Well, it's a great question, and I think that it's going to vary from household to household, from location to location, because obviously utility cost is different in different types of different parts of the country. At the end of the day, part of this is about cost. But I think a more important part is resilience. And with the global warming and climate change, I think everybody's worried about losing power, losing electricity. And what we look at is making a home or a building totally resilient to climate change, so that even if there is a storm or some kind of terrorist attack against us, we still have refrigeration, we still have light, we still have communications abilities, and we have the ability to manage our lives to almost normal, if not normal. So we could certainly send you a white paper that was just received today on the difference the difference in efficiency between a traditional 110 volt home and a 48 volt DC home. And that was a white paper out of a university in India.
Hey, Andy, if you don't mind, I'll jump on there for just a second. It kind of starts with Ameresco's abilities to start with the capital risk assessment, which would also include operational costs. We take a life cycle modeling perspective to that, so we can bring their current cost into the equation. This actual community actually just divides the bill up between the 499 units, maybe by square footage at best. So they don't really know who's using what at each of the individual facilities, but by that comparison, we would be able to provide economic justification to move forward with this, and we would be able to verify that over the course of time for both the short term, maybe the next 5 to 10 year window, as well as upwards of 30 from projections that we can put available in our analysis and analytics that we have in our tool. So hopefully that answers that question a little bit better. And then additionally, Andy, there was also a AC/DC appliance question up above that was earlier that I kind of chatted on there, but maybe you want to tackle that one here on the AC/DC components. So it says, will all appliances with the AC induction motor have to be changed to DC motor? Wouldn't this be less efficient for larger appliances like elevators, for instance?
So we're not looking to go into a building and just change out every appliance. We're looking to do this in stages. So you begin with what makes sense. Obviously, lighting, small appliances, refrigerator, and HVAC all could easily run off of a 48 volt DC, and that represents X percentage of the load of the home. But that also provides the resiliency that we're talking about, as well as an ROI, because with 2 or 3 solar panels in the backyard and some battery storage, we can now also reduce the amount of utility power that we're buying from PSE&G, and we could also be really good on the load shifting side. So in the future, if the utility wants to communicate with their clients, and their clients have the ability to go offline, for hours or even days at a time because of this type of setup, it certainly helps the utility company and perhaps saves money for the homeowner.
Andy, one thing I want to add, in the fuel cell system, our system can produce power, heat, and hot water at the last mile. So it also provides a lot of saving on the heating side also.
Yeah, please keep in mind that this is a collaboration of a number of different technologies where we try to work together when needed. But if fuel cell alone is a solution for a community or for a home, we say, hey, let's put a fuel cell into that home. Or if it's a solar panel, or we're working on a project now with Ameresco, where a container of batteries is going to save a large commercial outfit tens of thousands of dollars a year, and provide resilience that they didn't have before. So it all, we like to think of ourselves as very flexible to the applications that we're looking at. And the one that we brought to the table today is in Autobahn, is a community where we think that all of these technologies together could be deployed to create really a state-of-the-art community from a very archaic community.
Yeah, there's a new question, Andy, if you don't mind me just bringing it up, to ask about any parties looking into DOT's federal programs for hydrogen stations for fuel cell vehicles. Battery storages would be a good fast charging stations for electric vehicles to save demand charges as well. I guess I'll kind of start real quick, is that if EVs could be incorporated into a community like this that we've kind of brought up as an example today, or if you wanted to look at a municipality, for instance, that would have a parking lot that would have many charging stations involved with it, or a port authority or bus transportation fleet, those types of things as a central charging hub, then we can take the same concept to those types of things also. I don't know if anybody else has other.
So in my case, in a fuel cell, we can also take our system and we can produce the green hydrogen right there at the gas station. Our system, go ahead, Andy.
Go ahead. Finish.
So our system, runs, it can produce power, heat, and hot water. But if you run in a reverse mode, it can produce green hydrogen also. So if you're setting up the hydrogen station, somebody has to produce the hydrogen, and our system can produce hydrogen right at the last mile.
If there's a commercial application for a building, a retailer, for example, we work with Target stores, and for Target to put in a microgrid with this battery set up and solar on the roof, it just pays for them to be able to utilize the high voltage DC power to install bi-directional rapid chargers, rapid EV chargers. So if you could eliminate the AC element in the EV charging, you're saving money on the cost of the EV charger, and you have a much more efficient way of charging vehicles.
Yes.
It's a really interesting planning thing, because you can combine, like you said, Department of Transportation, if there's efforts to take direct vehicles straight to New York City or to Philadelphia or to Princeton, for instance, for commuters that are living in the community but still need to work elsewhere. But you need to have charging that would be rapid transit. It would be really interesting concept put together for sure.
Yes,
with a lot of benefits.
I think what's really key here is to think out of the box and the application of energy technology.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned yesterday, I was with a UN ambassador at a Target store in Parsippany, New Jersey, and where they have our DC microgrid. And while we were there, he gets on the phone with the president of Tanzania and shows him videos that the microgrid that we're talking about, and then shows him this picture, and he says, "Hey, we could bring electricity with this Target microgrid to all of the children in Tanzania and Malawi, the neighboring countries." So I'm thinking to myself, these guys are thinking out of the box. They're seeing the opportunities to take electricity that was once something that we're scared of because it could electrocute you, to say, hey, it's 48 volts, you could touch it, you're not going to get killed by it, you're not going to start a fire with it, and you could use it to power. So these are the kinds of things that we want to do application-wise with regular communities throughout the state and throughout the country, and to take it from commercial into residential and to huts around the world.
And one other thing which I want to mention, that we are also interested in manufacturing this product in New Jersey.
I missed that.
We are also interested to manufacture fuel cell product in New Jersey. So it's a local company manufacturing.
I think with the exemption of the battery storage, we're interested in manufacturing a lot of the different technologies in the local communities.
Yes.
Primarily the underserved communities, so we can kind of create sustainable jobs. People to service the technology, people to install the technology, light manufacturing facilities, so they could have assembly jobs and technology jobs. And that's the whole idea behind a change to these types of technologies.
Any other question, Paresh, from anybody? We will definitely send you the PowerPoint copy of the PowerPoint, and you can send to Paresh also, and he can distribute to everybody in the team. And if you want, Andy, we can add our our phone number and email address, so people can reach out to us.
Yeah, you can put it in the chat, your contact information, no problem.
Okay. Andy, we will put it in one of the slides.
I'll add it on.
Yeah.
I'll add a slide with everybody's phone number and email address.
Yeah. Yes.
So, Mr. Oliveto from DOT.
Yes, I am here.
Okay, you can take over.
Okay.
You can introduce yourself.
Oh, sure. I'm just trying to request control. Sorry. My name is Gerald Oliveto. I am a project engineer with NJDOT Operations. I oversee our drawbridge operations unit, and we're going to learn about our DOT navigation lighting backup system.
I'm trying to give you, control back to you.
Okay.
But I can't find your name on the list here. Hold on, Timur.
Oliveto.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Hold on, please.
Yeah, I know, right?
Good.
Price, I don't have a way to give him control. Because you are the coordinator of the meeting.
Well, can everybody see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I don't think I need control then.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So this is our NJDOT navigation lighting backup system, and this was an AASHTO award-winning project that we'll get into some detail about. So just some background on NJDOT bridges spanning navigable waterways. We have a total of 65 DOT-owned bridges over navigable waterways. Of those, 41 are fixed span structures that have both fender systems and navigation. A fender system is underneath the bridge, and it protects our piers from ship impacts, from debris, from ice flows, just keeps the bridge in good standing and kind of deflects anything that's in the river that would damage one of the piers. And then on our bridges over navigable waterways, we have what's called fender lighting or navigation lighting, and that's Coast Guard required. So during times of inclement weather, at night, the bridge is lit so that ships know where to properly pass beneath the bridge. So like I said, we have 41 fixed span structures that have both fender systems and navigation lights. We have 7 fixed span structures with fender systems and no navigation lights. We have 15 operational drawbridges with fender system and navigation lights, and then 2 drawbridges that are welded shut, but those also have fender systems and navigation lights. And again, that brings our total up to 65 DOT-owned and maintained bridges. So the U.S. Coast Guard, the districts in New Jersey are kind of split right at the Shark River. So everything from the Shark River and south is controlled out of Portsmouth, Virginia, and everything from Sandy Hook and north is controlled out of the New York office. So we have 21 bridges down in our first district, south of Shark River, and 44. I'm sorry, it was 21 in the north of Shark River and 44 south. And you can see right there the line. That's where it's split. So the United States Coast Guard lighting regulations, these are nationwide. The Coast Guard governs the lighting on bridges. So the Code of Federal Regulations 33 CFR 118 governs the lighting on bridges over navigable waterway for all bridges constructed after March 23rd, 1906. So all of our bridges fall into this category. And it dictates that each margin of a navigable channel will be marked by a red light. So typically we have 6 red lights per bridge, 3 on each fender system. You can see that we have one here, we have one in the middle, and then we have one on the ends. 1 light typically on the end, 1 in the middle, and then 1 on the other end on each fender. So there's 6 underneath the bridge. And then it also dictates that the center of the navigable channel under each span will be marked by a range of 2 green lights. So these are mounted to what's called the fascia beams, which are the outside beams on a structure. And then the green light would be up here. Now the lights are mounted just below the outermost edge of the bridge span, so you can see it from either end when you're going underneath the bridge. And they're visible for 360 degrees for approaching and transiting vessels. So this is straight from the Coast Guard regulation page where the lights are supposed to be on different types of bridges. You can see the reds and the greens, the channel centers and the margins. And then again, your typical navigation lighting on a bridge. You would have coming into the bridge, you would have the red here, and then a green over the top. And then just some more. Red would be here, and then a green on top. So the Coast Guard lighting regulations state that lights shall be displayed from sunset to sunrise and at all other times when visibility is less than 1 mile. And the Code of Federal Regulations 33 CFR 533 also governs the penalties for violations. So there's a civil penalty of $25,000 per instance for an inoperable navigation light and a separate offense for each day a violation continues. So this bridge in the picture, this is Route 9 over the Bass River, and you can see this was taken before sunrise, but the green light is out, and down on the fender systems, the red light is out. So any boat that was going through the river wouldn't have proper markings and know where to transit underneath the bridge. So typically, when we get a notification of malfunctioning lights, an emergency electrical work order is issued, and electrical crews have to be dispatched and repair it the same day to avoid that $25,000 penalty. When the work order is closed, the Coast Guard is notified, and in the event of an unrepairable light, the Coast Guard's notified, and then we would put out just a temporary light until the crew can get out there and fix it properly. So this bridge, this is Route 35 over Shark River, and you can see the green light is out here. So again, if somebody came through there and the Coast Guard wanted to cite us, it would be a $25,000 fine for the state. So some of the challenges that we had when we would get notification of these lights being out was the notification to the electrical crew that has to repair it on the same day. They have to mobilize, they have to retrieve their boat, they have to launch, perform the repairs, and demobilize. There's always inclement weather conditions. This picture right here is the Cape May Canal taken from Route 109. So there's a Coast Guard base right in Cape May. If a boat had gone through there and noticed the lights out and they notified us, it would have been an emergency and the crew would have had to go out to repair it. So there's rain, there's snow, there's wind, there's marine advisories. It's not really the electrical crew's favorite thing to do is go out and repair these lights same day. And then there's the seasonal conditions. There's ice in the waterway. There's ice on our fender systems, the early nightfall in the winter. And a lot of these bridges are at the shore. So trying to get out to like Route 52, Ocean City, they have to get out there, wait for a launch ramp, get in their boat, get out to the bridge, and shore traffic is just unbearable in the summer. And then, of course, there's the overtime cost associated with it, too, because a lot of these come in during the early morning hours, late afternoon hours when the Coast Guard is out patrolling. So there's a little section of the CFR, 33 CFR 118-100, that allows for installation of retroreflective panels with approval from the U.S. Coast Guard District Commander. And it also dictates that it would better identify bridge piers and it would serve as a backup for red channel margin lights. So what we did, let me see if I have, no, I don't. So what we did was we took an off-the-shelf design for highway delineators, just reflective panels. You can see them here. highway panels. They come in white, orange, yellow, and red. And we took the red ones and we went out. I think I have a picture of it. Here it is. We went out to, this is Route 147 over Beach Creek. So we went onto this fender system armed with nothing more than duct tape and a bottle of rubbing alcohol. We cleaned up the fenders and we mounted these red panels underneath the existing navigation lights. We took our boat through, we placed one panel beneath each light, and then we submitted it to the Coast Guard to see if this would be an approved design for a backup system for the lights should they fail. So usually when you send a letter or a request like this to the Coast Guard, it takes months before you get a proper response. But this, we got a response within the hour from the Portsmouth office saying, not only do we approve it, but how soon can you put these things up on all of our bridges? So you could see this was our test installation. We mounted them right here beneath each light, and it was just the simple highway red delineator that we mounted out there. And it was overwhelmingly approved by the Coast Guard. So that's what it looks like. So the light on top here is the fixed light that's wired into the bridge. That's the light that has to be on dusk to dawn. That's the light that has to be on during inclement weather. But should that light fail, now we have the retroreflective backup system in place. So now the crews don't have to go out there the same day. They can go out there during next day, during business hours, during safe weather conditions. The Coast Guard's only regulation, or stipulation rather, was that the lights still have to be maintained. So they said that as long as we have these in place, it would avoid the civil penalty. And as long as the crew gets out there and still maintains the existing lights, don't use this as a substitute, just a backup system, they were fine with it. So after we got our approval from the Portsmouth office for our bridges in the 5th district, we submitted to New York, and New York followed the lead of Portsmouth, and we got approval from both districts to apply this to all of our bridges. So these panels cost us approximately $20. So for a whole bridge, we're doing everything for less than $200, and we're saving a $25,000 penalty. So once these are in place, the navigation light has redundancy. It eliminates the Coast Guard civil penalty for a malfunctioning light. It eliminates all the overtime costs for the NJDOT electrical crew for this type of repair. And all the repairs can be performed properly and safely during daylight conditions on the next business day. So just some before and afters. This is Route 35 over Shark River Inlet. You can see up here, this is what it looked like before, and then after we put them on. And in some cases like this, when the sun's hitting them the right way, when you're underneath the bridge, these stand out more than the navigation lights. So this is Route 47 over Grassy Sound down in Wildwood. This is before, and then this is after. Route 52 over the Rainbow Channel, Ocean City. So in this particular case, our navigation lights are hanging from the bridge, but we mounted the reds beneath on the fender system. This is Route 162, Seashore Road over Cape May Canal, and you can see where we mounted them. And then this is, again, 35 over Shark River Inlet. So you can see there they are. And like I said, these sometimes stand out even more than the lights themselves. Just a couple more, 35 over Manasquan River. So our installations began with that first one to the test installed and our submission to the Coast Guard during the summer of 2019. And to date, we have about half of our bridges done. COVID kind of put a damper on our ambitious schedule at first, but we're back at it, putting these on, and we're anticipated to have all of our bridges complete by December of this year. And then to top it off, we submitted this to AASHTO for the Francis B. Francois Award in 2020 for innovation, and we competed against all 50 states, DC and Puerto Rico, and New Jersey won. So what we won was a $10,000 scholarship that DOT was able to offer to two students. I believe we split it $5,000 each, which was great. Just a little innovation that we had, and we were able to win this award. And then since then, we've presented this to AASHTO. We've presented this at some other regional conferences. Maryland's and Connecticut jumped right on board right after we put these on. New York followed shortly after. They currently have these going up on the Erie Canal, which is pretty cool. And then out in California, out by the Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco area, they're using them too. So a lot of states are following DOT's lead. We're hoping it becomes national. Just a simple little highway delineator that we did, that we put out on the fender systems, is turning into a great innovation. So just in summary, the delineation of the navigable channel in all weather conditions with this navigation lighting backup system, it provides safety features for the marine community. It's a significant cost savings for the department and taxpayers. It creates a safe working conditions for our electrical crews. It's an inexpensive, low-maintenance solution, and we have overwhelming support from the boating community. When we're out there putting these things out on the fenders and the boats are going through, we've got people cheering and waving to us. They're a very happy bunch. So it's nice to see that somebody's recognizing our work. And then there's my my contact information. If you have any questions, please feel free in the chat. We want to reach out. So I see a question about LED lighting with battery backup. The new fender systems that we put in down in Cape May are LED, they're solar. The problem with those is that the solar battery only lasts for 5 years, and we don't know when it's going to kick. So when that does go, we do have the panels in place, but a lot of our new fender systems are being designed with LED and solar power with a battery system. I hope that answers that question. And then as far as does DOT have any plans about more lights on some of the streets and highways in New Jersey? I don't know. I am the drawbridge guy. That would be more for our highway division.
So any more question? Thank you very much, Alivato.
All right, yes, thank you for having me.
And Commissioner and Sarah, you can do the closing remark.
Parish, Sarah goes first. Is she there?
Yeah, I think she's there, but let us see. Sarah?
All right.
Yeah, you can take it over, Commissioner.
Yeah. Thank you, Parish. Thanks for organizing a lot of hard work behind it. And I want to thank all the attendees, trying to attend and support National Engineers Week. It's very important that as engineers, we have to stick together, because that's very important. And no, the presentations have been excellent. I think there's a lot of valuable information, starting with the DOT and looking at the hydrogen fuel cells, blue hydrogen, green hydrogen, whatever the hydrogen is. All those things are valuable. And I just want to highlight that, Suresh ji, we have the legislature required us to do a task force on hydrogen. And I happen to be the chair of the task force. And so we are coming up with our report, all aspects of it, whether it is fuel and fuel generation, as well as the fuel cells using hydrogen or using natural gas, and see how we can transportation in terms of forklifts, and there's medium, heavy duty trucks, and the infrastructure, how the pipelines, and see how the hydrogen can be transported. All those things are we looked at. We have a very solid team of task force members who have worked on it diligently. I'll be coming up with a report to the governor and the legislature on April 21st. So one of the things during the conversation that came about is the trying to create jobs. EDA has the charter to create jobs, and Cecile Coronado, she's looking for of the NJD EDA, was looking for companies that can create jobs related to hydrogen.
Absolutely.
When I heard that you can set up facilities here, or at least think about it,
Yes.
that triggered my interest. So maybe you need to get in touch with Cecile, or you can shoot me an email, and I'll make an introduction to Cecile.
Okay.
And we can follow up on that. It's more, just to see how we can bring hydrogen into New Jersey. If you follow New York State has working with the US DOE have created. They want to become the hydrogen hub.
Yes.
So they're going to be they're taking the lead, and New Jersey probably could join the regional hub and things like that. So there are a lot of things. I don't want to go too far into hydrogen, but there is of great interest to look at that.
I like to participate. I like to help you wherever I can. I'm open to this whole conversation.
That's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in terms of energy efficiency, all those things, I think Sarah gave a great presentation talking about our state facilities and various aspects of our energy efficiency programs, and blending in the transportation, electrification of transportation, electrification of buildings, and benchmarking, all those things she talked about. They are quite valuable, and we need to follow up on all those things. It's for everybody, not just for Parish. Yeah. So I think this is great, Parish, and once again, I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank Governor Murphy for giving us a proclamation about Engineers Week, and also Board of Public Utilities President Joe Fiordaliso has sent out an email recognizing Engineers Week. I hope that continues for the next year and beyond. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you again. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. We can close the meeting now.
Yes.
Anybody has to say
Paresh,
anything?
thank you again for coordinating this thing. A lot of work, Paresh, and congratulations and excellent job, Paresh.
Thank you very much. So I'm closing the meeting. If anybody wants to say anything. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.